The house stood alone at the end of Harbinger Lane, shrouded in an aura of mystery and foreboding. Its presence was a stark reminder of a bygone era, a time when the house was once filled with life and laughter. Now it was a testament to time and neglect, its grandeur faded and its walls crumbling, its paint peeled, windows were boarded, and the lawn was overgrown with weeds and wildflowers, reclaiming the space that was once meticulously maintained. An air of melancholy hung heavy, whispering tales of forgotten memories and lingering shadows. The house seemed to breathe with the weight of its history, each creak and groan a reminder of the lives that had passed through its doors. It was a place most avoided, a place where the past seemed to cling to the present, refusing to let go. A place where secrets whispered on the wind, carried through the broken windows and down the empty halls. But for one young woman named Amelia, the house held a strange allure. She felt an inexplicable connection to the old structure, as if it called to her from across time. Drawn by an unknown force, she found herself standing on the dilapidated porch, its floorboards creaking a mournful song beneath her feet. The sound was both eerie and comforting, a reminder that the house was still alive in its own way. The air grew cold, sending a shiver down her spine. The mist that surrounded the house seemed to close in, wrapping her in a cold embrace. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, as if the house itself had eyes that followed her every move. Amelia had inherited the house from her late grandmother, a woman she barely knew but whose legacy seemed to be intertwined with the very fabric of the house. A woman she barely knew, yet whose presence seemed to linger within the very walls of the house. It was as if her grandmother's spirit was guiding her, urging her to uncover the secrets hidden within. Curiosity, and a desire to connect with her past, compelled her to step inside. The door creaked open, revealing the dark, musty interior. A musty smell, like the forgotten past, greeted her. The air was thick with dust and the scent of old wood and decay. Layers of dust covered everything from the furniture to the cobwebs that draped the corners of the room. The house felt heavy, burdened by unseen weights. Each step Amelia took seemed to echo with the voices of the past, urging her to uncover the mysteries that lay hidden within its walls. Days turned into nights, and the cycle continued without pause. Amelia busied herself with cleaning and unpacking, trying to make the old house feel like home. She dusted off ancient furniture and arranged her belongings, hoping to bring some life into the dimly lit rooms. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling of unease that permeated the house. It was as if the walls themselves were whispering secrets, secrets that she was not meant to hear. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of wind in the eaves sent shivers down her spine. The house seemed to be alive, breathing and groaning with a life of its own. The house was alive, she realized, with sounds she couldn't place. It was as if the very structure had a soul, a restless spirit that refused to be silent, sounds that seemed to emanate from the attic above. The attic, a place she had yet to explore, seemed to be the source of the most unsettling noises. At first it was just a faint scratching, like claws on wood, barely audible but persistent enough to catch her attention. She dismissed it as mice or perhaps squirrels finding their way in. After all, old houses had their quirks and critters. But the sounds grew louder, more insistent. It was no longer just a faint scratching, it was a cacophony of unsettling noises. There were thumps and bangs, and sometimes a low, guttural growling that sent chills down her spine. The noises were becoming impossible to ignore. Fear, cold and clammy, began to grip her. She felt a chill that seemed to seep into her very bones, making her shiver uncontrollably. One night, as Amelia lay in bed, the sounds reached a crescendo. The house seemed to be alive with a symphony of strange noises, each one more terrifying than the last. A cacophony of scrapes and thuds, followed by a long, drawn-out moan that seemed to seep from the very walls. Sleep was impossible. Her mind raced with thoughts of what could be causing such noises. Her heart pounded in her chest, her mind racing. She knew she couldn't go on like this, living in constant fear of the unknown. Fear, she realized, was a powerful motivator. It pushed her to confront the source of her terror, to face whatever was lurking in the attic. She had to know what lurked in the attic. With a flashlight in hand and her heart pounding, she made her way up the stairs, determined to uncover the mystery that had haunted her nights. Armed with a flashlight and a growing sense of dread, Amelia slowly climbed the attic stairs. The steps groaned under her weight, as if warning her back. The air grew colder, thick with the smell of dust and decay. A single bare bulb cast long, grotesque shadows that danced along the walls. The attic was cavernous and cluttered, covered with white sheets. Furniture loomed like ghosts in the gloom. Trunks lay forgotten, their contents a mystery. The air was heavy, stagnant, and suffocating. Amelia felt a presence, something unseen watching her. She called out, her voice trembling, "Hello, is someone there?" Only silence answered her. A silence that felt heavier, more profound than before. Taking a deep breath, she ventured further into the attic, her flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. Every creak of the floorboards sounded like a whisper in the stillness. The scratching sound came again, louder this time, coming from the far corner of the attic. Her heart pounded against her ribs as she slowly made her way towards the sound. The air grew colder, raising goosebumps on her arms. Her flashlight flickered, momentarily plunging her into darkness. Panic surged, threatening to overwhelm her. When the light flickered back to life, something was different. The shadows seemed to have shifted, coalescing into a shape that hadn't been there before. A shape that was darker than the darkness around it. It was tall and slender, humanoid in form, yet somehow wrong, twisted. It moved with a strange fluidity, like smoke given life. Fear, raw and primal, seized her. Amelia stumbled back, her breath catching in her throat. Her finger trembled on the flashlight's button, the beam of light dancing wildly across the attic. Section 5. The Eyes in the Dark. Then she saw them. 2 pinpricks of crimson light, burning in the heart of the shadowy figure. Eyes that watched her, filled with an ancient, malevolent intelligence. The eyes locked onto her, and a wave of terror washed over her, so intense it threatened to paralyze her. A low growl emanated from the figure, sending chills down her spine. The growl seemed to vibrate in her very bones, a sound that spoke of darkness and hunger. The smell of damp earth and decay filled the air, suffocating her. It was the smell of death. Amelia stood frozen, caught in the gaze of the creature. Her mind screamed at her to run, to escape the nightmare unfolding before her. But her body refused to obey, paralyzed by the sheer terror that emanated from the shadowy figure. She was trapped, a helpless pawn in a game she didn't understand. Time seemed to stand still. The only sound was the pounding of Amelia's heart and the rasp of her own breath. The shadow moved closer, its form shifting and swirling like smoke. The eyes never left her, burning into her soul. Amelia wanted to scream, to cry out for help, but fear had stolen her voice. She was rooted to the spot, her body trembling uncontrollably. The air grew heavy, thick with a palpable sense of dread. The scent of decay intensified, filling her nostrils, choking her. The shadow glided closer, its form solidifying, taking on a more defined shape. It was then that Amelia saw its hand. Long, skeletal fingers tipped with claws that glinted in the faint light. The sight of those claws, sharp as razors, broke the spell that held her captive. Adrenaline surged through her veins, snapping her out of her stupor. She stumbled back, her foot catching on a loose floorboard. The flashlight slipped from her grasp, tumbling into the darkness. The attic was plunged into blackness, the only light coming from the moon shining through the grimy window. Panic fueled her flight. She scrambled back, blindly groping for the trapdoor. Her hand found the rough wood, and she yanked it open, the sound echoing loudly in the silence. She didn't look back, didn't dare to see if the shadow was pursuing her. She scrambled down the ladder, her heart pounding against her ribs. She slammed the trapdoor shut, the sound echoing through the house. Leaning against the door, she gasped for breath, her body trembling with terror. The darkness seemed to press in on her, the silence filled with unseen menace. That night, Amelia lay in bed, her eyes wide open, staring into the darkness. Every creak of the house, every rustle of wind against the window, sent shivers down her spine. Sleep, when it finally came, was filled with nightmares. Images of the shadow, its glowing eyes and razor-sharp claws haunted her dreams. The attic, once a place of mystery, was now a source of terror. The thought of returning to that space, of facing the shadow again, filled her with an unspeakable dread. She felt a presence in the house, a darkness that lingered long after the sun had set. She tried to convince herself it was just her imagination, fueled by the stories her grandmother used to tell about the old house. Stories of a malevolent entity that resided within its walls. Stories she had dismissed as folklore but which now held a terrifying ring of truth. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Time seemed to stretch endlessly, each day blending into the next. Amelia never ventured back into the attic. The mere thought of it sent shivers down her spine, a place she now considered forbidden. The sounds continued, the scratching, the growling, the sense of being watched. It was as if the walls themselves were alive, whispering secrets she dared not understand, but she endured, trapped in a prison of her own fear. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind seemed to carry a message of dread. The house on Harbinger Lane had become her prison, and the shadow in the attic, her tormentor. It was a place where light struggled to penetrate and darkness reigned supreme. Some nights she could swear she saw the red eyes watching her from the attic window. They glowed with a malevolent intelligence, a reminder of the evil that lurked above, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond her sight. It was always there, just out of reach, yet ever present. Fear, like a parasite, had taken root in her heart, feeding on her sanity. It gnawed at her resolve, leaving her a shell of the person she once was. And so Amelia lived with the shadow in the attic, its presence a constant weight upon her soul. She could feel its eyes on her, even in her dreams. The house on Harbinger Lane remained, a testament to the fact that some secrets are best left buried, and some doors are meant to stay closed. It stood as a silent guardian of its own dark history. For within its walls, the shadow remained, waiting for the day it could break free and claim another soul. The house was alive with its own dark energy, a place where the past and present intertwined in a dance of shadows.